way to deal with our future energy demands is to be future-focused. The old models of large-scale generators using nuclear and petroleum-based fuels and transmission lines that stretch for hundreds of miles is not going to serve us into the 21st century. We need to help our utility providers to move forward in at least two ways. First, we need them to invest in sun and wind power. These sources are virtually limitless, and in New Mexico they are abundant. We can lead the nation in our production of electricity from renewable sources. When folks as diverse as T. Boone Pickens on the one hand and Al Gore on the other say it's time for renewable energy technologies, it's clearly time. We have so much potential for these types of industries in New Mexico. They would not only provide for the needs of New Mexico residents, businesses, and governments, but could also provide a tremendous opportunity to export electricity to neighboring states. In fact, it's a golden opportunity for New Mexico businesses to make sizable profits with little cost. Of course, there is the initial investment in building the generators and transmission lines, but the ongoing cost will be minimal compared with those associated with petroleum and nuclear. Second, we need to rethink and reconfigure what our transmission and distribution grids look like. As I said before, the historic practice of building large generators with long transmission lines to population centers is terribly inefficient. When we move to smaller scale localized grids, we will not only be safer in the event of natural disasters or terrorist attacks, but we will also provide more opportunities for entrepreneurs, both rural and urban. There are two actions that can be taken to help us move in this direction, and I will pursue both as your commissioner. I will work with the legislature and with local governments to encourage small-scale investments in sun and wind. Rooftop solar panels for home, office, business, and government buildings are one example. We can and should help people make these investments by offering low-interest loans for these projects. And while this does not directly address the question, I would add to those programs similar loans for investments in energy-efficient appliances and weatherization, not just for low-income people, but for anyone, home or business, who's trying to cut down on their energy waste. Second, we need to make it easier for utility providers to work together, and in this case I'm thinking particularly about our rural electric co-ops. We need to encourage joint projects among new co-ops so that we don't get to 2015 to find out they simply can't reach their mandated goal of 5%. Kit Carson and Springer and others are already moving rapidly to build their own generating system. Relying on Tri-State would mean a long wait, and I want to help facilitate the small-scale investments that are needed and help co-ops work with joint operating agreements to meet their deadline. As an aside, I would also like to work with the legislature and possibly Congress to help bring Tri-State under the authority of the PRC.
If we are to do that kind of diligent oversight,
so we have to start at the beginning and
save
carry
your
it
comments
through.
for your summary. Thank you. I can talk louder and faster. Candidate Block, you have 3 minutes.
Read a little bit about, from the Public Utility Act. The Public Utility Act reads, public utilities, as defined in statute 62.3, are affected with the public interest in that, among other things, public utilities financing involves the investment of large sums of money, including capital obtained from members of the general public, and the development and extension of public utilities business directly affects the development, growth, and expansion of the general welfare, business, and industry of the state. It is the declared policy of the state that the public interest, the interest of consumers, and the interest of investors require the regulation and supervision of public utilities to the end that reasonable and proper services shall be available at fair, just, reasonable rates, and to the end that capital and investment may be encouraged and attracted so as to provide for the construction, development, and extension without unnecessary duplication and economic waste of proper plants and facilities and demand-side resources for the rendition of service to the general public and to the industry. Utility regulation requires that a test year be used for setting rates. When setting the rate of return, the Commission must be mindful that a healthy utility is necessary to provide adequate infrastructure to provide superior service to the ratepayer. In the last rate increase, the PRC allowed PNM a 10.75% rate of return. Mind you, this is not a guaranteed return, it is the opportunity to achieve that amount. I believe that in today's financial market, that amount would be a very attractive opportunity for investors. An adequate rate of return would also improve the credit rating of the company and make capital available at a favorable rate. I would also entertain a mechanism for an interim refundable rate increase while the case is being considered. I would also work closely with the Renewable Energy Transmission Authority, which was created to provide transmission facilities for renewable energy being generated in the state. They have bonding authorities and may enter into partnerships with private and public entities to extend infrastructure. They shall not enter into any project if public utilities or other private persons are performing the acts, are constructing or have constructed the facilities, or providing the services contemplated by the authority, and are willing to provide funds for and own new infrastructure to meet an identified need and market. They may not affect in-state retail rates or electric service reliability.
Thank you. The next question. Currently, there is a 24-month time delay between when a utility files for a rate hearing and when the results are determined by the PRC. This is often referred to as regulatory lag. Please detail your position on the process for regulatory rate recovery and any proposals you might support to update this process. Candidate Block, you have 3 minutes to address the question.
All right, Beverly, thank you. The 24-month delay or regulatory lag, as you refer to it, is not from the date of filing. When utility files for a rate hearing, the Commission has 30 days to determine if a hearing is required. If the Commission decides a hearing is required, the case is docketed and procedural order is issued, setting up the schedule, the parameters of the case, etc. Potential interveners are given an opportunity to be included in the case. The Commission by statute has 9 months from the time of filing to act on a case, with the ability to extend a case by 3 months. That accounts for 12 months. The other 12 months involves the test year period, which is historical data presented as part of the utility's justification for the increase. Included are revenues, allowed expenses, and other relevant data. Now, except in the most complex issues, I would support reducing the allowed time for the Commission to render a decision to 6 months. Again, except for the complex issues, 6 months to date for filing for a rate increase. Concerning the test year, unfortunately nothing can be done about that. The official record established by all parties in the case must be based on actual data and not predicted forecasts of what data may be in the future.